Hi, Dom.
Hey Mike, what's up?
Not too much. We're we're here at Miller's Crossing. So
Yep, Miller's Crossing.
yeah, I mean somebody's going to get whacked. But yeah, this one, of course, I'll let you do the intro on. But this was my pick. This is kind of like our late our late St. Patty's Day kind of thing. It's very Irish. But you go ahead and do
Okay,
your intro.
so this came out in 1990. It's a Coen Brothers film,
A great Coen Brothers.
and it basically involves this town, Miller's Crossing, during Prohibition era. And there are two main rival gangs. And there's been an uneasy peace, but we start seeing as the movie progresses, little slights and skirmishes leading to a full-scale gang war.
Yeah, the little skirmishes that happen between rivalries like that. Um,
And central to the entire thing is Tom Regan, who is the right-hand man of the head of the Irish mob.
and a cool bastard too. He's
I don't know about that, man. I
well,
gotta
he is in
say,
my book.
this was a movie with no heroes.
Well, he's my hero in this one, but yeah, there's hey, let's put it this way. There's some hard there's some hard things that happen in this one, as will happen when
As will
you're
have, I mean, it's a gang movie.
yes, and when you're running with mobsters, you as he famously says when he finally dispatches the guy who was causing him all the problems, he says, "I don't have a heart." When he takes the
Look
guy
into
out.
your heart.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Look into your.
yeah,
So while I was researching this is a tangent, complete
yeah.
tangent. While I was researching this, I'm reading a thread where these people are talking about Miller's Crossing,
Yeah.
and one guy just interjects that. So, quick story. Going through the airport, and all of a sudden I recognize this guy, and it's John Turturro.
Oh
And I
yeah.
go, John. And he looks around. He can't see. He can't tell who's talking to him. And as he's looking around, I go, John. And then he fixes his eyes on me and smiles. And I just yell at him, look into your heart. Look into your heart. And he started laughing and walked on.
Yeah, well, actually, it's hysterical because he like that line in that movie is, he does it the first time when he's being taken out to Miller's Crossing, and you're like, oh shit, like he starts using it again at the very end, and you're thinking to yourself, come on, dude, you already tried this once. It works the first time because in the first one you're like, well, this poor bastard, he's pleading for his life, and but by the time he does it the second time, it's like, yeah, it's too much now.
Well, I mean, that he was going to kill him. By all rights, should have killed him. Gave him
Yeah,
a chance to get away.
yeah,
And then the
yeah,
guy comes back
yeah.
and basically tries to strong arm him. You got to know that's not going to work.
No, and I mean the guy had become a real problem, and that's the thing. He was a problem right from the get-go. I mean,
Well, even
um,
before we meet him, we know he's
yeah,
a problem.
yeah. I mean, Tom Reagan is telling his boss, just let because the rival gangster comes to him and says, "I need this guy. I need to take care of this guy. I'm coming to you to for like he's basically asking for permission."
Yeah, he's being polite.
Yeah, and he's doing the right thing. He comes to him the right way, and the guy's got a real problem with he's got a real problem with people. What he always uses the term hi-hatting him, and
You're
so
giving
if
me
he
the
feels like
hi-hat.
yeah, you gave me the hi-hat, but yeah, he's got a real problem with like feeling like he's being looked down on or being played with, and so he comes to him about this problem guy right behind me here. It's saying, look into your heart. And he's basically saying, I need that I need this guy taken care of. He's making a fool of me. It's I need to make an example of him. And they're just playing, they're just being tough with him and saying, no, you can't do it. And he's under my protection, and all because he's having an affair with the guy's sister. And the guy is actually he's such a bad guy morally that he's actually willing to let his sister, uh, right behind me here, be used by the gangsters in order to get
His own
favor.
protection.
Yes, and so that's the big reason why the Irish gangster is actually, protecting him, and she is playing everybody. Tom Reagan keeps trying to say she's a grifter. The two of them, they're grifters. They're all they're doing is playing you. They're playing the con, and you're falling for it. And but of course, he doesn't believe it because he's in love with the girl.
I gotta say, she did a great job, and they all did.
They all
They
did.
all
This
did
is
great jobs in their roles, but I gotta single her out because this was her first major role. This was her
Yeah,
first movie.
yeah. And I hadn't even realized that, but I just know she did a wonderful job. But that's the thing about Coen Brothers movies, and I can't say enough. I have not seen a bad Coen Brothers movie. I've seen some that are more favorite of mine than others, but I have never seen a bad Coen Brothers movie. These
Didn't they do
guys,
Burn After Reading?
they did, and I still like that one. It was,
That was questionable in my mind.
well, it was a lesser one. It was more towards the comedy side than it was, because a lot of times they have a stark quality to their movies that makes there's always like an uneasiness in a Coen Brothers movie.
There is, but
Um,
there's also usually a level of humor, and that's one of the things that got me about this movie. It's almost completely humorless.
no, no, there is humor, but it's kind of like black unintentional humor almost. It's stuff that's, I mean, there's guys that are like, he's funny. Whenever he talks, the stuff with him and his kid, smack the hell out of the kid or something, and then oh, you're a good boy and everything. He's praising him and stuff, and but so there is humor, but it's a different type of humor than in a lot of Coen Brothers movies. But then again, look at No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
that had humor, but a lot of the humor was more low key. Um, you had to look for it more, and there's always stuff with their movies uh, one of the little overrunning themes with this movie was the whole thing with the hat,
Hmm.
and there were a couple of things in this movie. One was the crossroads that stood out. The crossroads, almost like it was, Miller's Crossing. It was almost this bleak area where you come to. It almost reminded me a little bit of, the crossroads and the
The
Johnson
Musical
story there. Where
Crossroad,
yes, with so
the Devil
yeah,
Crossroad.
that's right, the Devil's Crossroads. It was kind of like that, and then this whole thing, this spooky thing with the hat too, was always it was a whole bunch of stuff with the hat and the overrunning theme with the hat and the hat falling off someone's head or blowing off someone's head, and so that was another thing that kind of stood out to me. But yeah, there were different there were different little elements that made me, uh, and then the other thing is this character Tom Regan behind you. Um, he's he's also like, in some ways this movie reminded me a little bit of like Yojimbo, where
There's a reason for that.
yeah,
They
well,
all came from the same source material.
really, really,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, well, I can understand why, because I was watching the movie, and this was my second time seeing this movie. I came to this movie late. I saw it about 10 years ago. I loved it. I started telling everybody that I knew about this movie and saying, if you haven't seen it, you got to see it. but no, when I watched it this second time, I started noticing that there were he was very much like Yojimbo with the uh, playing all the other gangsters against each other and working everybody in the room.
Oh
And
yeah.
so, which is, if you've
Let me
ever,
read you this passage. This is from the
yeah,
Wikipedia page on
okay,
Miller's Crossing. Many situations, characters, and dialogue are derived from the work of Dashiell Hammett, particularly
okay,
his 1931 novel, The Glass Key. There are some parallels between the two stories, and many scenes and lines are lifted from this novel. The relationship between Tom and Leo in the film mirrors the relationship between Ned Beaumont and Paul Madvig, the principal characters of the Hammett novel. Another important Hammett source was his 1929 novel, Red Harvest, which details the story of a gang war in a corrupt Prohibition era American city, a war initiated by the machinations of the main character.
yeah, uh,
And evidently, that book, Red Harvest, not only inspired Miller's Crossing, but Yojimbo, but a
okay,
fistful of dollars and
yeah,
a few clips.
yeah. Well, Yojimbo happens to be. I love Akira Kurosawa.
Mhm.
I love Akira. And why we haven't done one yet, I don't know, but we'll get to it.
Oh, there's so many movies to
There's
do.
so many movies we got to get to, but 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 anyway, no. So as far as this movie goes, like I said, it didn't click as much in my first watching, but in my second watching of this movie for this talk here we're doing, um, I watched it just the other day, and I was sitting there thinking to myself, "Wow, there's a lot of parallels with Yojimbo."
Mhm.
And I just kind of like it clicked in my head, and I hadn't read anything about it or anything like that. It was just something that it was resonating with me that he was very much like the character of Yojimbo, which is hilarious to me. How Yojimbo he took everybody's money, and he basically, this guy is not so much taking their money, he's just kind of like playing their favors and just keeping himself out of trouble. Um, and in some ways, he's not really being disloyal because his friend and mentor, this Irish gangster behind me here, he's
Lou.
uh, he's actually pretty loyal to the guy and he keeps trying to warn him. He's trying to warn him about this. He's trying to warn him about Turturro's character. He's trying to warn him about the chick he's dating, and that that Tom Reagan is also banging on the side. But yeah, he's trying to be loyal to him, and when the guy won't listen to him and just does not, you know, heed his advice, eventually he decides, okay, well, you got to go your own way then. But yeah, like I said, I feel like he's a little bit less of a Yojimbo entity than he's more of a friend until he gets kind of tossed aside, and then it's like, okay,
He
if
double
that's the way,
crosses everyone.
yeah, yeah, then he starts
I
just
mean, not
playing.
that he was treated with the utmost fairness either.
No, he was not. He was not, especially by because at the end, the guy says to him, "Well, we can put all this aside. I wish you'd go back working for me again, and we could put all this aside." And he's basically like, "Yeah, not on your life." But
So, so I just gotta say, this clip behind me, this is the most badass scene in the
it's a
entire.
pretty badass scene.
But
It's
like, if you only could watch one scene from this movie,
yeah.
this is the scene to watch.
Hmm. And it also really shows what a badass he is. They had done everything they could to kill this guy. They sent a whole hit team after him. They kill his guys. He's upstairs in his bedroom. He manages to get out of a they have set his house on fire. He manages to get out of the house,
He
get one
walks
of
towards a rain of bullets.
yes, and he gets a hold of one of their Tommy guns, and that is what he's holding in his hand there for the unenlightened. That is a Thompson submachine gun that was very much in use back during the 1920s during Prohibition.
That must have been a devastating
It
weapon.
was it was firing 45 caliber
Hmm.
rounds. And I mean, when people talk about like full auto and machine guns, when most full auto is 9 millimeter, most. There's things like the, the BAR, that thing fires 308. So that thing's a real badass. But that 45, that thing was even hard to control. If you were shooting that gun and it was going up,
Yeah, I
you
can't
had to,
imagine you'd get much accuracy out of
oh
it.
my, it was not the most accurate gun. I mean, it was, and believe me, when you let go full auto, you had to really know what you were doing to fire that thing with any kind of accuracy. But yeah, he's a complete badass. So
Albert Finney, by the way, for those
yes,
that don't
yes, the
know,
great Albert Finney,
the
yes.
great Albert
Um,
Finney.
and the other thing is, and again, something with the Coen brothers, they always manage to get terrific actors, even if they're in small parts. And right behind me there's Steve Buscemi plays a very small part in this. I love Steve Buscemi, one of my favorite
Well, so
actors.
do they, obviously. He's
Yes.
been in like at least four of their movies.
Oh yeah, yeah. He pops up a lot. Fargo. I mean, pretty much every every good Coen Brothers movie has had Steve Buscemi in it. I love seeing him pop up, but he's terrific. And again, it's a small part, but he's terrific in that one. So it's just that little cameo.
Evidently, he got the part because he could deliver the lines the quickest.
Yeah, yeah. He's very quick with his. He's very articulate and very quick with his, getting words out. But and another thing with this movie that I think was really, first of all, the sets are terrific. Where they shot, all the sets are like really accurate to the 20s. I mean, I believe me, I certainly wasn't alive in the 1920s. I'm old, but I'm not that old. But I grew up with older parents, and they had a lot of older furnishings from the 20s, 30s, 40s, and so I'm very familiar with a lot. Plus, hey, I've dealt with antiques too, but but like I said, the sets were really accurate. The This is really indicative of what the 1920s, the architecture, the all the houses
So
that they were in.
evidently, most of this is filmed in New Orleans.
Oh, is that right?
And the
Yeah.
Coen brothers chose that specifically because there were sections of town where the architecture was unaltered from the 20s and 30s.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you look at a lot of I mean, even things like lighting fixtures, and talking about the lamps and things like that that they put in there.
That
But
coffee cup behind you, right there.
yeah, oh yeah, no, it's amazing how detailed and accurate they were. I mean, things like the mirrors, the art deco
The
style.
wallpaper.
Yeah. Yep. It's so accurate, and it's you can go into almost any room. They were dead on with this stuff. The costuming is terrific. I don't know if this. I don't know what awards this one won. I never looked it up, but but I mean, by rights, costuming and set should have been like that should have been highly considered for the because
Not
that again.
much.
What's that? Yeah.
Not much. Miller's Crossing won the Critics Award at the second Uberry International Fantastic Film Festival in 1991 and was nominated for the Grand Prix of the Belgian Syndicate of Cinema Critics. But I'm
Huh.
not seeing any other awards.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's
you know, one of
weird
the
too.
reasons,
What's that?
one of the reasons for that,
Yeah.
this came out the same year as Goodfellas.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was a tough. Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, two mob movies and
Right.
up against each other and Goodfellas, I mean, these are both I'd be hard pressed if you said which one do you prefer? I probably would go with Goodfellas if I had,
I would have to go with Goodfellas.
but
This
man,
was this is
this
a
is
great
close.
movie,
Yeah.
but I feel it's one that is technically perfect. perfectly executed,
Yeah,
but slightly generic.
man, I don't know. I just um, like I said, I'd be so hard pressed just to give you the just to give you the which one is your favorite. Um, I love the Coen Brothers. I love Scorsese, but I
But that's the
really
thing. At this point in time, in 1990, the Coen brothers weren't as well known
no,
as they are now.
yeah.
They have a few good films under their belt, but nothing like the list they have today.
Oh yeah, their repertoire now is just unbelievable. But the long, the long list of successes they've had. But they happen to be one of my favorite, if not my favorite, directors out there right now. It's probably the Coen brothers. I love their style. I get excited when I hear about a new Coen brothers movie. They're just terrific. They've made wonderful use of really talented actors and their scripts. The fact that they write most of their own scripts, uh, or rewrite the script if it's something that they get a hold of. But the fact that they have that much talent to do that, I don't know. Like I said, they're high favorites of mine. When I talk about what directors I prefer to watch, it's those two. So,
So, do you recognize this scene behind me?
oh yeah, yep,
So
yep,
that's the mayor's secretary,
right,
right? That is Frances McDormand.
right. And to tell you the truth, I didn't recognize her as Frances McDormand while I was watching the movie either time. And it wasn't until you just popped that up there that it all of a sudden clicked in my head. Oh my God, because she's younger there for one thing. But the other thing is it's the hairstyle. It's like,
So,
yeah.
do you know who she's married to?
I know she's married to somebody famous. I can't
Joel
offhand.
Cohen,
Okay,
one of the
okay.
Cohen brothers.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I did know that. I did it wasn't clicking in my head exactly who it was, but yeah. Um,
Evidently, they gave a bunch of small roles to like just friends of theirs.
right, right.
Like
What
Sam Raimi is in here.
yes, yes. Well, that's the thing with Frances McDormand. She's another one that I think is they've made effective use of her too in Coen
Hmm.
Brothers movies. But she's another one that I mean I would definitely say she's recognized as a talented actress, but again, I think she's probably underrated. She's terrific. She made Fargo. Her delivery in Fargo was just
Oh, it's
so
perfect.
yeah. I don't think you could have found another person, uh, name an actress who could have done that role as well. I just don't think you could find somebody with that much talent. She played it so low key. She really personified the Midwest, the upper Midwest.
The accent was spot on.
Yes, totally spot on. Nobody could have done what she did in that movie. She was just terrific. So yeah, like I said, I love her. She's fantastic, and so I hope the Coen brothers continue to continue to use her and not just as a wife, but anyway, no, like I said, I love Frances McDormand. So yeah, that's another good use of a terrific, uh, talented actor that like again like Steve Buscemi, they bring him in there. This is just a this is just a terrific movie with a terrific cast.
It's a pack cast.
It's it's so well cast. They should have won an award for casting. It was that good, but it's like I said, I think it's underrated. I really do. I don't feel like people know Miller's Crossing well enough. For anyone who's watching us right now and you have not seen Miller's Crossing, you owe it to yourself. I do not think we've spoiled the movie in any way for anybody that's hasn't seen it. Please watch this movie. It's so good. It's a great movie for this time of year with St. Patty's Day. There's a strong Irish theme to it. It's
I
not,
will say, watch the movie if you're into gangster movies, because I know people that do not like gangster movies. They would never watch Goodfellas. They would never watch The Godfather.
right.
So if that's you, don't watch this movie.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think it's a terrific movie on its own, but you are right. The gangster theme is very heavy. Prohibition, police corruption around that
It's
time was,
classic.
yeah, it's and to tell you the truth, just the way that they actually show a lot of these scenes, I mean, you would think you were watching a movie that was filmed in Chicago or wherever. You would not necessarily know that it was shot in New Orleans,
Well, they
which,
purposely kept it anonymous.
well,
The
I
the
didn't,
where.
Dom, when until you said New Orleans, I had no idea this was filmed in New Orleans. I really didn't know that. So that it shows they did a good job with making it a it could be any place, and it certainly could be Chicago back in the
Yep.
1920s, you know. So but yeah, like I said, there's great the guy that's behind both of us right now, he is a great bad guy too.
The Dane.
He, he's very, very deadly and very
That's J.E. Freeman.
well, he's terrific in this. And the other thing that I think is kind of funny, talking about the Yojimbo angle, is Tom Reagan keeps playing this guy for the he keeps trying to turn the gangster against his own man, and he
Hmm.
does a pretty effective job
Yep.
up until the very end when he kind of overplays his hand and gets himself in trouble. But it's like I said again, just a terrific movie. I just love this film. Can't say enough good stuff about it. I don't know what give me your thumbs
Well,
up.
I already did. I feel like it's an excellent film. It's crafted perfectly. It's just a little generic for my taste.
Yeah,
It's like they set out to make a gangster movie, and they did in their indescribable Coen style,
yeah.
but uh, they didn't put as much heart as I'm used to into it.
Well, I disagree because like I said,
Mhm.
I love this film. I think it's a masterpiece. I think it stands with the best of cinema out there. Certainly the best gangster movie, the best. But yeah, I'm going to just add all of my thumbs to this today and say I give it a hearty two thumbs up, and I would say I would gladly go beyond that. It's just
It's easily two thumbs up. I would not say this is among the Coen brothers' best movies. It's a great movie,
let's see,
but for their
I
resume,
yeah, that's where I disagree because I believe it is probably one of their finer films. But that's again, that's it's six on one, half a dozen on another.
yeah.
It's with when you're talking a Coen Brothers movie, especially their better Coen Brothers movie. They're so good. The Coen Brothers are run with the best of them, man. They really are. They're so talented, and you never had a brother team up like that for filmmaking. They are just great, and they've I thank God that we've had the Coen Brothers making movies because believe me, with what Hollywood turns out half the time. uh, they've added to our to our movie watching pleasure. So, but
They've pretty much predictably put out winners.
yeah, yeah, they do. And I love, you talk about like the scene in American Beauty where the guy is filming he's filming the bag. He says you know what the most beautiful thing I ever saw was, and he shows this bag blowing in the wind. And there's a whole story behind the filming of that bag, by the way. But but you watch the bag just floating, on a breeze, and they with I don't know how much of an intentional, but they do with that hat. easily what they did in American Beauty, like putting together something that, and the again, we have to say the soundtrack of this movie,
Soundtrack's amazing,
the
but
theme,
like I said, this is almost flawless.
it is almost flawless. The theme song of this movie that plays in the all throughout the movie, it's so beautiful. It's a haunting, beautiful theme song that I truly love. And it's I again, like I said, I just can't praise this movie enough. It's
Yeah, well,
truly
you're not the only one that loved that theme song because it was used by another movie,
really,
The
really.
Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but I'm gonna have to rewatch The Shawshank anyway because it's
It's based on an Irish folk ballad, Lament for Limerick.
okay. Well, it's a beautiful, beautiful theme. It's it works wonderfully for this film too. It adds a real haunting quality to this movie. If you didn't have this song playing, I don't think you'd have the same feel at
Oh
all
no.
with this. Again, it's integral to the movie. So all I can say is wonderfully done movie, Coen Brothers. High praise. So
So now I wouldn't have known this. I missed it when I watched the film.
yeah,
But do you remember the scene with Albert Finney in a dress?
no,
Do you
no, I
remember?
can't.
Do you remember at the party where Tom Reagan here, walks into the woman's restroom, the ladies' room?
Okay, yep. Is that the scene where everyone's screaming and running out, or yes? Okay. Is
So
that him? Is that him in the black?
that is
Yeah.
Albert Finney.
Wow. Did not know it. Would not have known it.
Yeah, so
Wow.
evidently Albert Finney, the dour, very serious mob boss in the
Yes.
movie, loved to party in New Orleans. He like took to the town like that, loved
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
so when his scenes were done, when he didn't need to keep shooting on the
Right.
set, he stuck around.
Ha. Huh.
And so this is one of the things he did. I'm
Wow.
guessing just for a laugh.
Yeah. Well, and you tell me that there's no comedy in this one. No, that's the something I never would have. No, I did not notice that. Um,
In fact, another thing I did not notice, and I still don't get it, but I've heard a number of people talking online saying that a major theme of this movie are homoeroticism and closeted tough guys.
well, there's a whole homosexual theme with talking about that tough gangster. There's a whole thing because he actually had a boy and he was keeping on the side, and that was one of the things he was trying to keep quiet. And there were a couple of times where Tom Reagan brings it up to the gangster boss there, and he's like, "Hey, like let's just not talk." It was like just we won't talk about it, but because he was uncomfortable with it. But yeah, there definitely I totally agree with you there. There's a couple of different characters that have so yeah, there is probably a whole homoeroticism theme there. And even the tough guy thing, sometimes, like when you look at the 1920s and you look at, or the 30s, and you look at like J. Edgar Hoover was a cross-dresser. And he had this whole J. Edgar Hoover, around the FBI, and I'm a tough guy. He, it, it was fairly famous that he was both gay and a cross-dresser. So, I
I've
mean,
never heard that he was gay.
I don't.
And I'm
I've
not
watched.
saying you're wrong. I'm just
Well,
saying
I watched
I haven't.
one movie, and I cannot think of the name of it. I'll have to look it up and bring it up again later. But there is one particular movie that has J. Edgar Hoover as a central theme, and he's pretty gay in the movie. He's got a lover, and but he definitely was known as a crossdresser. Um,
I've heard that.
so and I think it has been put out there that he probably was or was in fact gay. So sometimes with some of it's funny when you look into some of the tough guy themes, and maybe that's why a lot of times you see that it's like
But
the
what I
village
find
people and
funny
the
is that, homophobic people
right.
in general tend to see this as a recent development. It's like society has gone to hell, and
Yeah.
so this perversion, but it's been with us for forever.
Well, yeah, it's because there's always been homosexual. There's it's not like it's something that just sprung up out of nowhere, but it's it's a it's like what's causing this? What are we drinking in the water? Well, it's no, it's it's always been there. It's always just something that's there. But but yeah, like I said, and I think sometimes that's why even the feminine masculine kind of thing of roles and playing with those ultra masculine sometimes roles sometimes they're just as often get adopted by homosexuals. So, like I said, just because you're J. Edgar Hoover doesn't mean you're not, also gay. And that's apparently, like I said, at the very least, he was a cross-dresser. But from what I saw in the film that I saw, he was not only a cross-dresser, but he also had a lover, but a male lover. But like I said, I'll have to look that one up. I'll have to do the research on what movie that was. It was a while back when I saw it, but getting back to this one again, yeah, you're right. There definitely was a whole homoerotic thing in certain scenes, and again, this movie to me, the 1920s, actually, when you look at some of the characters in the 1920s, there was a whole talking about masculine, feminine kind of thing. There was a whole crazy thing going on with even some of the male singers and stuff like that. Some of the androgynous females that were around at that time. So yeah, nothing new under the sun. That's the that's the old saying is there's nothing new under the sun, and that's true.
So
But
the Coen brothers did not have an easy time writing this movie because they suffered from writer's block right in the middle. And so they took a
really,
break. They took a break, they did a change of scenery, and it inspired them to write Barton Fink.
oh
So they
wow,
wrote an
yeah,
entire movie
yeah.
in the middle of making this movie.
That that's another movie when you talk about like movies that we need to talk about. Um, and Barton Fink, I wasn't really that aware of Barton Fink, and that it is another early Coen Brothers movie. But like you and your brother Mike, um, you two actually got turned on to Barton Fink before me. You were both talking about it.
I love Barton Fink. I think it's a
Well,
great film.
yeah, I don't know if you guys had gone to see it or what the deal was, but you guys were like really pushing me to watch it, and I was like, yeah, okay. Well, I didn't know anything much about it, and I sat down to watch it, and I was like, man, this is a freaking good movie, and I haven't seen that in years, and that's another one we're gonna have to
Yep.
we're gonna have to get at because
Just I can't believe we haven't done the Big Lebowski yet.
I know the man that I love the Big Lebowski. Jeff Bridges is a man, he's but but yeah, and John Goodman's so good in that. It's just such a terrific movie. So
John
yeah,
Turturro.
oh my God, yes, yes. So again, what a cast. But no, Dom, like I said, for me, this is I again, if when you post this up against both Goodfellas and this one being up for the Academy Award, I would have been hard pressed which one should have won Best Picture. That's how highly I think of this movie. So uh, yeah, I for anyone again who has not seen this movie, please, you owe it to yourself. Watch the movie. It's so good. Such a good film for a period piece. If you like period pieces, if you like movies with a gangster theme, for sure. There's violence in it. I don't think it's terribly graphically violent, but there is some violence in it.
There's definitely violence,
Yeah.
including borderline child abuse with that other mob boss.
Well, well, yeah, the kid does get slapped around a little bit, uh, but it's followed by a hug.
Just to make it more emotionally confusing.
He gives his kid a big crack across the face, and then he goes, "Oh, come on, Daddy loves you. We're still friends, right?" But hey,
Yeah,
that's what.
in 2005, Time chose Miller's Crossing as one of the 100 greatest films made.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I would definitely add it to that list. Like I said, I love this movie. You know, it's I would fight to put this probably in the top 100. It's that good. I would probably put it in the Coen Brothers. Man, either top three or top five. It's that good to me. It's so good. You know, it's um, and I would have to be adding Fargo and No Country for Old Men
But
and
that's the thing. It's really tough. Like,
oh yeah,
Fargo is fantastic. The Big Lebowski is fantastic. Oh, brother, art thou?
oh my God, yeah. I'll tell you, you know something? They're so good. I mean, all you got to do is start going through the list of their films, and you right away it's like, oh, you can add another movie to that. Their remake, and I love, you know, the John Wayne True Grit. That was always like to me that was one of John Wayne's better performances. There some of his movies can be a little campy. They're still fun, but they can be a little campy, like during the late '60s, early '70s. When he did True Grit, was one of his finer performances. And so when I heard the Coen Brothers were going to remake True Grit, I was like, I don't know, maybe they shouldn't touch this one. It's, you know, it's kind of a sacred movie.
No, that's exactly how I felt when I first
Yeah.
heard it.
But I watched the movie, and first of all, Jeff Bridges in the John Wayne role was one terrific choice. He was great. Uh, the entire cast was incredibly awesome. And again, it was a good example of the Coen brothers using people real effectively that I wouldn't necessarily Matt Damon, his character, when I heard he was, it's like Matt Damon, I'm like up and down on what movies I like that he's in, and he's not always my favorite choice. For when he's good, he's good, but I think he did a terrific comedic job in that in True Grit. That's another one we've got to tackle because
There's
it's
so
such
many,
a
Mike.
yeah, it's such a good movie, and they did it justice. They actually put it in a whole different like doing True Grit. If you said, "Hey, let's do True Grit," I'd probably want to do the Coen Brothers version rather than the John Wayne one.
Wow, now that's a hard choice.
Yeah, it would be a hard choice. But I love the Coen Brothers movies so much. And you know, modern day westerns as opposed to like old westerns, um, I I have my old favorites and I have my new favorites. And you know, a movie like Tombstone, I you know, there's certain movies. 310 to Yuma. I love the original 310 to Yuma. I love it. It's a great movie and with a great cast. And then they came out and they did 310 to Yuma remake, and I was like, wow, this is an amazing. Uh, it's an amazing remake.
They're almost different films, and I feel bad because we're really getting away from Miller's Crossing.
Yeah,
But I just have to say, like, the old westerns, there's a classic feature. Things like High Noon,
yeah,
Stagecoach. Um, uh, they're not very realistic, but there's a classic nature to them that
yeah,
makes them just gold. Whereas the new ones are much more realistic.
yeah,
They're grittier, they're dirtier. They have the
yeah,
period things
Yeah,
better.
they show the nuances of the character's flaws. Yeah. It's
So like it's almost like apples and oranges.
yeah, 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 because you're seeing something that's quite different with an older one and a newer one. I love the old theme of the one man uh, going against impossible odds, and often just because no one else will stand with him, and so he just has the courage, and I love that with the old, whether it's Shane or High Noon or Fire Creek, or there's tons of old movies like that where it's one man facing incredible odds, and like I said, that's one of the, but the newer ones, even now, you look at The Unforgiven. It's one of my favorite modern day westerns. That and Tombstone, and with all of those ones, it is a guy stepping up a lot of times and facing bad odds. So yeah, I like I said, I feel like we've actually had a resurgence with westerns that I thought the western was done for a while
Yeah,
when it
same here.
yeah, we got into, yeah, they were making movies like Young Guns and stuff, which, it's an okay. Young Guns is like, I remember when that came out, it was like, hey, let's throw all the hottest young stars together, Emilio Estevez and, all these different people, they threw them together, and it's like these are the hot young stars. We'll put them together in a movie and it's got to be a hit. And it's like, well, you still have to have a good script and it has to be filmed well.
They put out Young Guns too, Mike. They made two of those.
I know. And I wasn't wild about Young Guns one. So, but
And I've probably told you this before, but do not see what's the one that is based on the Seven Samurai, the Magnificent Seven.
oh, the
Don't see the recent version.
yeah, yeah. Actually,
It's a
I really have,
mockery.
yes, I really have not wanted, I really have not wanted to. It just, I've seen the trailer for it and I was like, this can't be good. So I kind of, before seeing it, I kind of agree with you just off the cuff. But, but yeah, and I will say, John Turturro, his performance in this, he is such a weasel in this
He's
in
one
this
of my
movie.
favorite actors. It's odd. I love seeing him in the Batman.
Yeah, yeah. It's he's actually somebody, I can't remember what the first role that I ever saw him in, but the first time I ever saw him, I kind of remember him irritating me, and I was like, man, I don't know if I like this guy, and as an actor, and he won me over pretty quickly because he's terrific actor, and whatever role he's in, man, he draws you right into the character, and he is.
He's one of my favorites. You know what I haven't seen
What's that?
is the movie The Jesus.
I don't think I've seen that either. No, in fact,
So
I
he
don't.
plays that very notable but rather bit character in The Big Lebowski, but
Huh.
he gets his own movie.
Wow, wow. Yeah, I that's probably one I'll have to take a look at, but no, I haven't seen that either. So yeah, but big shout out to Turo. I think he did a terrific job in this one, and look into your heart. That line is so memorable in this,
hmm
and
Well,
it,
that
you
you
know
give me the hi hat.
well yeah, that's a great line. That really is. This guy is just he's so terrific. But
They got the lingo of the
yeah.
period down as well.
Oh my God. Yeah, they got the lingo. The dialogue is very, very true to the times. It's and again, look at the set pieces. The cup on the table next to you there. That
Yep,
that that
the ashtray.
yeah, it's every little detail uh just spot on. That warehouse that he's in behind you, that's very much a 20s warehouse. You would easily see those in the 1920s and 30s. That's very, very indicative of architecture of the time. So it's definitely dead on. But yeah, I I just I praise this movie on so many different levels, and it has Tommy guns in it. So so whenever a movie has Tommy guns in it, I mean, Thompson submachine gun, probably one of the badass, one of the best badass. Besides something like the cable, the BAR, the BAR was the Browning BAR was an incredible machine gun, but that fired 308s. But the Thompson was just incredible, and this movie has it. So,
I still can't get over how badass that scene is.
oh yeah, yeah,
Do you know what that
absolutely.
scene is known as?
No,
That's the Danny Boy scene.
well, that's another thing. That's another thing that makes that scene so memorable and so cool is that he's got the song Denny Boy playing in his burning down house while he's walking down the street. It's blasting out, "Oh Denny Boy!" Well, he's walking down the street and just
Just
spraying.
casually strolling, firing the gun while people are firing back at him.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's an incredible scene. He's got big balls, man. He's just walking down that street. Yeah, they are shooting back at him. They're driving away in their in a car trying to get away from there because he's driven he's driven off the
He
the guys
basically
who can't.
becomes the Terminator.
Yeah, I mean, and he wipes out everybody, and it's like if you at all thought to yourself this guy's washed up and he's done, and you were starting to think that, he turns it all around. The next thing you know, everybody's dead. So it's incredible. He's complete badass. But yeah, terrific scene.
But that being said, I'm not sure I've got much more to say about the movie. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely two thumbs up. It's a great flick.
yeah, yep, yep. Solid two thumbs up. And again, I have to say it's one of my favorite movies. I will highly recommend this movie to anyone. But but please, if you haven't seen it, watch the movie. Um, and if you guys would, please leave a like, subscribe if you would. Doesn't cost you anything. It helps us, supports the channel. We need the support.
We need
Uh,
the support. Look into
yeah,
your heart.
yeah. Look into your heart and leave a like and a subscribe. Uh, but uh, but yeah, exactly. That's our theme for this movie is look into your heart, support us. Uh, but no, we probably have said it all, Dom. And having said that, are you mindful of what you were
Yes.
bringing to the table next week?
Yes,
Cool.
I am.
Are you ready to announce that?
I am. I am. I want my next movie to be The Bay.
Okay, I'm trying to think of what the
It's a
bay is.
found footage horror. I'll tell you up front, it's not the greatest movie, but I'm
Okay,
choosing it for one reason. So keep this in mind. If you're going to watch at home, you keep this in mind too. Levinson is the director for this film. And he started filming a documentary about pollution in this bay. And then another movie about the exact same thing came out.
ah,
So he pivoted on the dime and used the footage he had already collected and turned it into a horror movie.
wow, wow, that's terrific. Well,
So
I'll tell you what I mean I now that you mention it, I of course I do know the movie, but I've never seen it, and I really don't know hardly anything about it. Um, that does bring to mind. I don't know how familiar you are with the documentary Vernon, Florida, um, but Vernon, Florida started out as a different film, and it turned into he basically had to abandon the project, which I'll go into another time. But he had to abandon the project, and so he had footage that he had shot in Vernon, Florida, and he used that for a documentary, and it worked very well, and it's a terrific documentary. but that's
And
completely
and
off.
like I'll be up front, like The Bay is not the best movie. It's not the best horror movie, but for a found footage movie, which I generally don't like, I'm very impressed with the creativity of what he
See,
spun it into.
yeah. See, I actually I like found footage when it's done well. My big problem with found footage is it's often done sloppy. It's
True.
if it's done well, I've seen even some of those paranormal activity ones. I mean I own several of them on Voodoo, and I there's a number of them that I actually really enjoy watching. They're kind of a almost a guilty pleasure in the sense of like, okay, you're watching something that's a little bit, maybe a little cheesier. The setups for it, it's like, well, why are they filming at this point, or who's filming it, or whatever. But but when it's done well and it's done effectively, there's times where, and again, I'm a jaded horror fan, and so usually nothing scares me. There's been a few paranormal activity or found footage ones that actually kind of gave me the creeps. So so if
Well,
they could,
yeah, it's an interesting genre,
yeah,
but I've got things to say about it, but I feel I should save that for next week.
sure, we'll save it for next week. And again, I have not seen it. I've never seen it, so that's going to be fun. And but yeah, and we do have it on Vudu, of course. But
Of course.
yeah, of course. But and we don't get any. You hear me a lot talking about Voodoo Fandango. Hate the name Fandango. It was much better when they called it Voodoo. But
Just like I'm going to
anyway,
keep calling Twitter Twitter. I'm going to keep calling Voodoo Voodoo.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, Voodoo is Voodoo. But anyway, so again, as far as Voodoo goes, like I said, I love it. I just wish they. Uh, but anyway, it's we don't get promoted by it, but we're not being paid to mention it. It's just it's something I happen to utilize a lot. I own a lot of movies on it, TV shows, and I find it a terrific way to watch movies and watch them on the go too, because it's sometimes either traveling or even at work on a slow night or something like that. It's a way to watch, and I highly enjoy it. And so, yeah, if you guys want to, if Buddha wants to give us some,
Hint. What?
yeah,
Throw some cabbage our way.
yeah. So, but anyway, I think with that, having said all of that, we probably said as much as we should. We'll call it a week. And hey, Dom, looking forward to your movie next week. That'll be pretty awesome. So, um, I will catch you next week, Dom, and for all of you viewers out there, we appreciate the support, and see you guys next week.
Yeah. See you, Mike. See you,
Yep.
everyone.
Take care.